And we're live. Hello.
Hello, Internet.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to a very special episode of Blades in the Dark, the Blackwing Caravan. It's our mid-season...
holiday episode.
It's our mid-season filler episode.
Is this where we answer letters from the fans?
You want to pull questions off the front page of D&D Reddit again? Because I'd be down to do that.
Dear Crow, that's me.
That'd be questions. We could just make up questions from the fans to each other.
We can. Well, that's one of the things we can do is we can ask questions of each other. You know, like that'll
be awesome.
Yeah. So we haven't played in a couple of weeks, and as a result, everyone only has a vague sense of where we've been and where we're going. So I figure we'll take this week and we'll just chat for like 45 minutes or an hour or something. We'll talk about the campaign so far, where it's at, moments that have stood out to us, things that we've liked, things that I'd be super curious to hear like theories from you guys of like different things that are going on, to see what you guys think of like all the different little story things that I've laced in. And then we can ask questions about each other's characters. We can talk about like backstories and stuff as much as you guys want to, and we can just hang out and chat. What do you think?
Sounds good.
And then this will be a good thing, so like even if people aren't watching it, this will be a good thing to have on YouTube of like do you want to watch this but you don't want to watch like 11 other episodes of a thing for context? Then like jump in, here you go. Hello those people.
Hi people. Yeah. Hi anybody. Hello from the past to anyone in the future who's watching this insanely popular series.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't want to start at episode 1.
They're gonna look back at this when we're like 100 episodes in and go like, and maybe
like this is where it all began.
And maybe we'll do like we could set up a rotation where we do this every like 10 sessions or something like that. I don't know how long
y'all want as like a check-in episode.
Yeah. Because it's an important thing. Here we go. This is dipping into Discussions and Dragons territory. Our Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop role playing game podcast that Eric and I do every other week. TM.
Ish.
Yeah, ish. An important thing about dungeon mastering or game mastering or whatever you want to call it is checking in with your players in between sessions, seeing what people like, what people don't like, how people are feeling about stuff, and then that gives you a good sense of like where your players are at as far as like interest and excitement for a thing, and B, sometimes it gives you really good ideas for stuff to do in the future, right, Eric?
It also reminds you of things that have happened and to bring back story.
To bring back plot points, which is good for both the players and the GM.
Yeah,
you're like, oh yes, that character did vanish, didn't they? I didn't forget about them. No, they're mysterious. Like,
yeah. I figured I'd give if Game Master Eric wants to weigh in any feelings or thoughts about this, and then I'll talk to player Eric.
GM Eric loves check-ins. I think they're wonderful. Half because if I don't know where I'm going with the plot later, I can be like, what do you think's gonna happen next? Well, tell me what you think is gonna be the surprise. Like, and then I just take the best answer, and I'm like, you got it.
Cool.
Player Eric also enjoys them.
Yeah.
That's like the joke of like, oh, if you ask your girlfriend where she wants to eat, she'll never tell you, she'll never agree. But if you say, guess where we're going to eat, and she says one thing, you're like, yeah, it's that thing.
That's it.
You got it. Weird.
That's basic. That's some reverse psychology that I use for everything. I'm like, guess who's going to get punched? And they're like, me. And I'm like, you're right.
So.
Guess what I got you for Christmas? Oh my God, is it a new laptop? Yeah. Fucking new laptop.
Sure.
Fuck.
Is it a new laptop? What? No, but here's a bag of M&M's.
Oh, the peanut ones?
Damn.
No, caramel. Get out of here.
They don't even make these anymore.
Don't worry about it. That being said, let's see. Simone, how are you feeling about the game and the stuff and the people? And we'll start from there and have a discussion and just kind of, I don't know. This is me trying to be a host. It's not working.
I'll say, there's no food provided at all.
I mean, if you were here, if you want to come over, I've got I've got some of these. You could have some of these if you want.
That is what I want.
So far, I like that as we go through, like little different like bits of each character are getting like pulled forward, and I like that because in the very beginning I kind of built my character as a very straightforward, like he's gonna shoot at things and he's not gonna be seen, and then lo and behold, like plot wise, story wise, he can't be that like very simple, and I feel like that's kind of nice and something that I don't always feel this immediately with like D&D or in like a D&D in like a straight tabletop world. I feel like when my character comes into play, I'm like, I'm really good at this, but like, my -2 isn't going to stop me from trying to read this hieroglyph. Like, it's like it's kind of a back and forth. Whereas here, it's very straightforward in the way that it's set up in the role system. I like it, and then story wise, I like how I'm not stuck there.
Yeah. I don't let people play simple, straightforward characters in my games.
Yeah, I literally couldn't. It was going to be. I realized early on it was going to be boring if I built my character that way.
Mm-hmm. And there's not much to this game in terms of like mechanical combat stuff. It's pretty straightforward.
I like it. And then as we go forward, like very much so with Crow, with like how his story is evolving and how the other characters are coming into play, and like getting buddy with Undertow for like parts of his personality and character that I haven't developed, and like finding a camaraderie with oh my god, Echo. I was like, Tess? No, that's not the character.
It's been a hot minute. So.
Yeah, like the camaraderie, and as well as like 13, and I'm like so excited for going forward character-wise, like how his story is going to interact with like especially 13's background, because we haven't really had any of his family come through, and for Undertow as well, we haven't seen, like obviously she's like singing he's singing she shanties. Oh my god.
He's singing she shanties by the sea.
He's singing sea shanties. Oh, Tourette's. And so I'm really like, because I know that like Echo and myself, like our backgrounds have been like kind of fluffed up lately, and I can't wait to see how that's gonna like bounce off of everybody else. So that is my current feelings on the character development side of things.
Cool. Yeah, I've really enjoyed playing up your backstory. Like that's my jam. Like in all of the campaigns that I run, I like to take what you guys give me, and then I get to take it and make it. And like this has happened to you a couple of times where like I've introduced like your like something about your backstory, and it like isn't quite what you imagined in your head, right? But like that's kind of the thing that I like to do, is like, because if I just take your backstory and then I like put it into the game and it's exactly what you were expecting, then like that's like pretty straightforward and boring for you. But if I can take it and kind of make it into a thing that is still like the like soul of what you were trying to do, and what you were trying to make with like Costa or Celine, like all of that kind of stuff, like the spirit and the soul, I don't like to fuck with any of that. But you might be surprised at, you know, that I make Costa more friendly on the outward face than you originally thought.
And I like that as well, because like I could have one idea, and like you said, if it plays out exactly how I expected, I'm like, I expected this. But if you play it a completely different way, I'm like, oh shit, then how do I get from like here to there?
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. And like mechanically, your friends will like all of your friends and enemies and all of that, mechanically they're going to work the same way that you would expect them to, like, as from a mechanics perspective. Like Tez, your physiker friend, even though he's working for this gang that you're rivaled with, if you like called on him to be your friend and do something, like he would probably like be able to do that. It's just a narrative, narrative kind of thing that I've introduced as an interesting kind of like pull for like the other characters to kind of bounce off and for you to bounce off of as a player. So, but yeah, what do you think? How are you liking Echo and also the game and all that stuff?
I am thoroughly enjoying the game. It's as a new player to the RPG world, relatively, because I only play D&D, and I've actually been kicking that up a lot more in the past couple of weeks and months with real life friends. But having a completely different genre to play off of, where I can kind of take the same types of characters that I'm used to playing and move them into a different world, is really interesting, because it's forcing me to come up with improv on the spot, which I'm not really great at, but I'm getting better at, and this is giving me an opportunity to do that.
I feel like you've definitely gotten stronger since our first few sessions.
Yeah. Like as a role player and as an improv.
I really like how right now the way our party is comprised is we have two characters that are very similar, and then two other characters who are very similar. So they bounce off each other as friends, but we all work together as a whole, and that's sometimes hard to get, especially with like in Dungeons and Dragons, where you split the party, things go badly. Whereas in this situation, if you split the party, things don't necessarily go terrible.
Yeah,
but they don't go great.
Sometimes
recover better.
Yeah, sometimes the only way to do stuff is to split up. And like, Eric, we've talked about splitting the party, even in D&D, that we've done like half an episode of discussions in Dragons about how like splitting the party isn't necessarily a bad thing, and that's just a tried and truism.
There's definitely bad times to do it, but it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, in this game, the mechanics of the like quote-unquote party are kind of deconstructed. I feel like, because of the way that the system works, it's really hard for me to kill you guys. Like, it is legitimately like a difficult thing. If I were the type of GM, which I'm not, that is like, I want to kill my players, I'm playing to win the role-playing game, and I won't stop until all my characters are dead.
I want everyone to know that I'm the best D&D player.
And side note on that, there's nothing wrong with that. If your players play just as hardcore as that,
if everyone's in agreement, then sure. I mean, that's what D&D Fight Club is. The little mini series that I run every once in a while. D&D Fight Club is, all right, we're gonna be 5th level. We're gonna run encounters into my players, and we're playing for keeps. Like, but with this, like, it is legitimately hard, especially if you like know the systems in and out. Like, it is difficult for me to kill you guys. It is like, I have to essentially, like, especially in one session, because think about it, like, to kill you guys or to like remove your character from the game, I'd essentially have to trauma you out 4 times.
Yeah.
And like in one session, we'd have to be playing for like 8 hours, right?
Unless like one of us is like playing loose and fast, and it's just like, I'll take some stress for that. I'm stressed out by that.
Yeah, but even then, like, you trauma out, and then you're like out of it for like the rest of the session, and then you usually come back. But like,
so it would take at least 8 sessions to kill a character.
Yeah, the only times that, and this is true of like my long running D&D campaigns too. Again, unless people are like into the whole idea of like a deadly campaign, but like just my like default stance in D&D, and again, this is some Discussions and Dragons overlap. I won't kill your character unless you don't want to play that character anymore. Not permanently, anyways. I had that happen in our first Blades campaign. My friend John didn't want to play his character anymore, so I helped him roll up a new character, and then we kind of like we played off of each other until I put him in a situation where like it was then up to him to like trauma himself out, and he like kind of picked up on that and did so. But it was like kind of like a collaborative thing to get rid of his character and bring in his new character. It wasn't an
I'm out to get you. It's we're working together to make the story better.
Yeah. So and that can happen. That can happen if like you're kind of bored of playing this character, or you feel like your character's arc has been completed, or you want to try out something else. I like even in D&D, I don't like just killing characters unless again like you want to die, unless you want to play something else.
Or you're open to it. If you're the type of person who's like, no, if rocks fall and I die over that, then that's that.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, all right, then I'm not gonna. But if you're the kind of person who's like, no, I want my story. I want to play for the story. Then I won't kill you without a reason, so that your story is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've definitely run into like, oh, you've done something completely fucking stupid, and it just happens to like take the last 6 points of your health.
Yeah.
Like that shouldn't be a thing that knocks you out of the game unless you're like, yeah, I don't like my character anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Unless you want your character to fully die. And even then, even if your character does die, there's thousands of, not thousands, but like, it's a fantasy world. You have options to come back to life. Unless your DM is like...
No one's ever dead.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna grab a drink quick.
Go for it. That being said, as I kind of shift around the horn here, Eric, I want to talk to player Eric for a second. What do you think? Give me some hot takes. Tell me all of the things that I've done poorly, because you're like the most experienced GM here.
Okay. I've GM'd longer than you have, and I don't believe Simone or Tez have GM'd at all. So by that standard,
only that one game.
Yeah. So by that standard, yes, I would be the most experienced, but I'm far and away like an experienced GM or anything like that.
Right.
That being said, I very much am enjoying this campaign a lot. It's very different from D&D, and I've only ever played like 1 or 2 games outside of the D&D sphere. So I'm enjoying like the change up of skills and how things increase and decrease, or rather like how experience is given out and things like that. I don't really have any critiques for your GMing.
I'm mostly just joking.
Yeah, I was like, nor would I ever deem myself appropriate to give out criticisms of other people.
I mean, like I'm like, an important thing about being a GM, whether you are super experienced and have been doing it forever or have only been doing it for a few years like I have, an important thing about that is being able to hear and handle and take criticism. So like, absolutely. I have no qualms if we sat down to do this and everyone was like,
we want to.
if we had sat down to do this and I said like, all right guys, what do you guys think? And all of you were like, no, I fucking hate this campaign. I hate this world. I hate the way that you're running it. Like, this is stupid. I would be like, all right.
But I'm trying to
I would say, okay, number 1, why are you still here? And number 2, let's think about and figure out like ways that we can make this like, what can I do better or differently?
Right.
What can change to make this a more enjoyable experience? You know, like that's
absolutely.
More food. Honestly. I mean, fucking come over. I got 24 of these bad boys waiting to be eaten. Come on over.
Crumbs everywhere.
Oh my god.
I cannot.
Where's our coffee? Like.
I mean, that's again like, I'll come over. I'll make you coffee. But I can't hand you coffee through the webcam. That's not how this works.
Yet. According to the Willy Wonka movie I just watched.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're doing great. The game is going great, and I'm super excited to see what this obsession with Leviathan Blood is going to do to 13.
Yeah. I'm also interested in that.
I'm also waiting to like receive a letter from home that's like, by the way, you're now numbered like 11. There's been some incidents, all right. It's just like,
while you were gone, some people have died. It's fine.
It's not a big deal.
And then we have to get used to calling you a new name.
But like as I get closer, I'm like, guys, we need to hide. We need to hide more. The higher this number goes, the more likely we're all gonna get murdered.
So are you number 7 now? No, you call me 12. But
No.
you're number 7. No, you call me 12.
I'm like, technically yes, but refer to me as 33.
Exactly.
Like there's only 22 families, but I'm like, I'm 49.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a story beat that, you know, I'll be straight up with you. I've had that in my back pocket for a while. It's not that like I've been thinking about that. It's just like there hasn't been an appropriate like moment to do that. Like your big kind of like subplot thing before the obsession with Leviathan blood is the demon haunting your dreams.
Yeah.
That's a thing. That's a thing to deal with.
I just thought of a plot idea. Writing it down.
Do tell.
To discuss later, but thank you for the idea.
Fair enough. Yeah. So like everyone's got everyone in their characters has like their backstory, and I think everyone here, not so much with Marissa, because Marissa's Undertow's backstory hasn't come up a ton, but I feel like everyone here has had some sort of backstory, kind of like beat or something happen relating to their backstory in game. Does anybody have any like thoughts or feelings about where that's going, or what you need to do to kind of like Simone, like what do you think, what do you think about Celine?
I am super stoked about this.
I was folding laundry before I came on the call, and I was like, should I have been watching the last episode like in the background to like refresh my mind? And then I was like, no, I remember what happened. And like I'm so stoked about where we left it off with like the rooftop and like finding out that she does have the kid, and I have a lot of ideas coming up for that, and I don't know which ones are going to fall into place better.
I'm curious because like I know, right? Like I have all the answers here, but I'm because the other half of his motivation at this time is to get that the hourglass.
Time twisty hourglass thing, and to basically make her have to relive everything, and that's its own. Now I know where she is. I have more information about her than I thought I would have, and now that's going to be the second half of it. It's going to be a long-term thing now, but I think what I kind of want to do in the meantime is somehow get to be a part of this kid's life. Like not in a bad way.
It's like, here's your new preschool teacher. His name is Mr. Bird. And it's Crow downing another espresso, and he's just like, all right, kids, today we're going to learn how to skin a deer.
Mr. Bird, are you drinking coffee? Never. Like it's straight to in or something.
Blood needle, not even once, kids.
Are you thinking like Once Upon a Time, where you've got Snow White and the Queen vying for the same kid, or are you thinking something?
I saw Once Upon a Time so long ago. Are you talking about the movie?
No, the TV show.
Oh, never seen the TV show. Never mind.
The Queen of Hearts and Snow White, their kid, it's wibbly wobbly, but they kind of are vying for custody of the same kid.
No. The thought that I had, and it's not as fleshed out, and I don't know if I like it as much, but the thought I had was that to like our little gang, and we're apparently not allowed to kill children, but on the other side of that,
frowned upon.
it's a finger wagging, definitely.
It's definitely a slap on the wrist, at least. I mean,
I was thinking, because I don't know if, like, obviously Celine recognized me from the small interactions, but I don't know if the kid knows about me at all. And like if the kid knows like what his mom, did we determine if it's like a little boy or a little girl?
No, it's like an infant still. It's not like
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So if they know about their mom, if they have any like impression of it, if there's like a father in the household, or like what's going on. But I want to learn also about like the kid eventually, and I think not use it against her, but basically like be the ultimate like, oh yeah, so this is mine now. Like I don't know what I want to do with that yet.
What you could do is have her imprisoned for witchcraft, and then take the child in as a foster.
Yeah. I learned the other day that autism has been around for forever, and they determined that because the modern day symptoms of autism represent what the big change in medical doctorate papers described as like changelings. So like mothers that are like, oh, my kid like is completely different than I thought he would be, and this isn't my kid anymore, and like he was taken away by Fae. And it's the same kind of thing that like current day like mothers and parents are like, you know, I thought my kid was going to be normal, but now he has like tics and he stims and he's like super smart for no reason. And so they think that like there's symptoms of autism all the way back to like changeling children or like children stolen by Fae. So I learned that the other day. So
the stream is entertainment and education.
That's right. Edutainment.
So yeah, so I think I'm gonna, obviously we need to do more work on the hourglass, which is gonna be cool because I think Crow and 13 are gonna get closer because of that.
Yeah.
And then as far as the kid goes, I think Crow and Undertow are gonna get closer because of that, because that's gonna be more
you're gonna need that charisma to
I don't know what I want to do with that yet, but
interesting.
So I have some plans. That's what I got right now.
Yeah, the hourglass is a still a big question mark, I feel, because like it was like the focal point of, I feel like, the beginning like third of the campaign, and now it's sort of taken a backseat to like kind of the like definitely the Leviathan blood stuff and like everything that has happened kind of like in the fallout of you guys originally acquiring that for the Red Sashes. And like the only thing you know about it now other than like its properties, and that it like kind of fucked you up, 13, right? Like Eric, it like fucked you up when you used it kind of by accident. Like all you know about it other than that is that Satara wants you to get that. Do you have any like thoughts about that at all, Eric, as to like why or how you're gonna do that or any of that?
No, I was letting that kind of drift to the back burner while the team got our operation set up, because as part of it, you were like, "Oh, you could just lay low," and I was like, "Hey, I'll just like not hang out with her for a while." I was like I'll leave her messages on like scene. She'll like, "Are you up?" And I'll be like, "No, I'll answer her tomorrow."
There's definitely, so like I'll let you know this because like you're as a player, there's definitely like a clock going on in the background, and if you haven't at least like made strides toward it by the time that clock fills, then like something may happen. But I'm not going to tell you, like, A, how far along it is, or B, how long it is.
Right,
like, it might not show up till, like...
My thing as a player and as just a member of the team, I don't like railroading stuff my direction. Right. Not that this plot is just mine, but it was like, we still had to get an operation set up. We still had all these things going on. So I was like, it'll organically come. And now that Crow has to also, or Crow also wants to get their hands on it. It's like, there it is. Yeah. There's the opening that it was like, I don't have to pull. I don't have to. Yeah. We can get our foundation set up, and now it naturally can move into
the other thing too is that like the minutia of like running your kind of operation, once you've got once you've got like an establishment, like
Right.
we're doing kind of like the establishing scenario right now. Once it's like established, like a lot of that can happen in the background.
In
If
the
you guys-
background,
if you guys
we
don't
go out
wanna-
on scores, come back, and
yeah,
it's like,
if you guys don't want to be involved in like the day-to-day kind of like minutia of your crew, like you guys are hawkers, but if you didn't want to be involved in like the day-to-day of like any of the other ones or something, you didn't
Right.
necessarily have to if you were instead like wanting to focus on other character beats and stuff like that, especially for like a session or two or something. There's nothing
Right.
like I'm not gonna penalize you because like, oh, you were out confronting 13's backstory, so like you didn't make any sales that day. Like,
your
Oh my
company,
God.
your company has gone.
yeah. who's gonna be home watching the shop, motherfuckers? Like,
There was an aggressive takeover.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing.
Everything
That's
burned down.
like
We're gonna
like,
leave that kid, that newspaper, that newsy boy, in charge, and the shop is gonna get robbed.
I mean, well, like that's the thing. Like your storefront getting robbed, your territory getting taken over. That's all like tied into entanglements.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that can happen if like you have a high heat or a high wanted level, and I roll a certain way on entanglements
Right.
in between scores. That's the kind of stuff that can happen that you will then have to respond to.
Right.
So, not that like I would never have something like that happen unless it was like an entanglement mechanically.
Right.
So,
But
yeah.
I am excited to go after the hourglass. I don't being able to see why somebody died. I imagine somebody important is going to pass soon, and Satara's like, you're going to want to know why they died. So hold on to that hourglass. Unless she maybe. My other thought was she might be able to use it on things other than humans, and something like a demon's going to pass soon, and she's going to want to know why that demon, who killed that demon, or whatever. So
That's pretty
those
cool.
are my thoughts on it.
Mm.
Satara was meaner than I thought she was going to be, and I was a little reluctant.
Yes.
I
Well,
was like,
Casa
"This
was
is
nicer
Satara."
than I thought.
I was like, I viewed you as my best friend. I figured we'd be sassy together. I was like, ew.
I mean,
Hey, my friend's working for the other side, so we've all got
my,
issues.
my friend's a giant poof ball. Like,
yeah, but like the thing about it is that like, and this is an NPC building thing. We should do a Discussions and Dragons episode about making NPCs.
NPCs.
Yes. Yeah, write that one down. But like, I like the idea that NPCs aren't just one dimensional. Like, so you guys know like goofy kind of like Costa, finger guns or whatever. But that's not to say the like kind of like straightforward like edgelord badass that you imagined Simone. That's not to say that like he never was or can't ever be that. Like, and we've seen some I've tried to. I don't know how good of a job I've done at conveying this, but like when you guys were fighting with him, like when you were doing the
yeah,
smuggling job
he
and
was
stuff,
like 1-2
like-
out. He was like
like-
1-2 done.
yeah, like he doesn't fuck around. Like he's like
Right.
combat trained. He's as good, if not better, than you, Crow. And,
Oh
like,
yeah, no, he's definitely
and-
better. I
in
learned the
that-
ropes from him.
Yeah, and in that way, like he very much has like when you were asking him for his gun in the thing, Eric, like I was trying to show kind of like how his like demeanor had changed. Again,
Right.
this was, if I were a better role player, right? Like I think it would have come
No,
across
it
better.
completely.
No, you did get the point across. You did.
Yeah. So like there's definitely elements to, so that's not to say that like Satara isn't gonna be like your sassy best friend. Like there's more than enough room for the character to have more than one dimension in like weird like evil angry sadistic
Demon-y ways.
demon lady is just one of many facets. Potentially, you don't know. I mean, she's been around for literally thousands of years, probably. Who knows?
She's reversed right back to two-dimensional. She's just angry all the time.
Yep, exactly.
It comes in waves, just angry, acceptance, angry again, maybe
Right.
a little bit of denial.
Yeah, totally.
Not in the right order, but whatever.
Right. But yeah, Tez, what do you think about Sawtooth? Like, what was your reaction
Oh
when
my god! Yeah.
because I'll say
That
like
reveal.
I've had my favorite points in of like story with like everyone. That was definitely my favorite role playing point that I've had with you, was like getting to role play out that kind of like reveal and thing. What did you think?
It was a surprise because as a noob, I was like, "Oh shit, how do I handle this?"
Right.
And you could see me sweating bullets because I'm like, "Oh crap, I didn't think of this outcome at all. Like, what am I supposed to do? Panic! Oh my god!" But,
Yes, excellent.
I think it worked out, and yes, good job to you. But I still need to think more on it of how I'm gonna react next time I see him.
Yeah.
With and I think a little bit more story with the group needs to unfold first, so that way I've got a little bit of, or Echo has a little bit of more clout and reputation, kind of, I guess, in order to maybe prove herself prove herself to him that maybe he's better off being with us instead of them.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
we're not sure where that's gonna go yet.
There are all sorts of inroads that y'all can take, as like this is like another kind of like front, right? So like if you think of the game in multiple kind of like fronts, there's like the establishing yourself as hawkers, which is kind of where we're at with the Leviathan blood kind of thing that y'all are into right now. There's the kind of like character backstory stuff with the hourglass and Celine and all of that. And then this other front that's over here that like has kind of been going on in the background, you've interacted with it very little, is the whole like Red Sash Lampblack conflict. There's a like we're very close to there being like an open like gang war going on like in the streets. We're not there yet. We're very close. I will say that. Again, I won't tell you how many more ticks the clock has.
Oh my god.
But there are clocks, and there are things happening, whether or not you guys decide to interact with them. And depending on how if you guys decide to interact with things and how you decide to interact with them, that can change all sorts of things with those clocks and those kind of like events that are happening in the background. But if you don't do anything, yeah, like I feel like you guys all kind of have an idea as characters and also as players, like at least I hope so, because I've been foreshadowing a lot of it. Like it's very close to like, oh, we're going like full like gang war. It's coming up. It's happening.
I do want to mention though, with the bonds forming with different party members, how Crow is working with 13 and Echo and Undertow, that kind of stuff. I want to, with the weapon that Echo's starting to build, once she gets it actually like crafted and the holster for the spirits and the blood to actually reside in, once she's essentially crafted it, she's going to want to go to somebody who knows how to handle ghosts. So she's probably gonna start talking to 13 and say, "Hey, can I train with you now? Yeah. Because I know how to handle the blade, but I don't know how to handle the spirit."
Hey, I'm just curious. What do you think will happen if you put Leviathan blood in your sword?
I had a feeling you were going to mention that too.
I'm just curious.
I have several ideas for how we can purpose the Leviathan blood.
Yeah.
None of them being necessarily kosher.
Well, like I will tell you, I have a list in a notebook. Like, it's in my bag over there. But I have like a list of like, depending on what you try to do with the Leviathan blood, what will happen.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's like what is that? Table of Wild Magic, like.
Not so much. It's like pretty like it's just a thing that I've kind of like designed, is just like okay, if you try to do this, then this will happen. If you try to do this, then this will happen. If you try to do this, then this will happen. And right. Like, not to say that I'm like trying to like anticipate every single thing you do, and it's entirely possible you come up with something that's not on that list, and in which case then like I'll be able to kind of like interpret and intuit what happens.
Just like if I'm like, I pour it all up my butt.
What?
It's on the list, bud.
Yeah.
Leviathan.
It's number 3.
If you Leviathan blood booth, then
put into a strange orifice.
What if I feed it all to Echo through microdosing, like over the course,
A little bit at a time.
over the course of like 3
You just put it on like wet wipes and just
dear,
walk
we have
by
bed bugs
her.
again.
We're all sitting down at dinner, and Echo's just like 13.
Ground like an arm.
I mean, do you want your friend to have tentacles? Because that's how you get your friend to have tentacles.
I guess the real question here is, Echo, do you want tentacles?
I got scales already. I'm good with without tentacles.
Maybe the tentacles.
She said she's good with tentacles.
Well, yeah.
I heard it.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, another thing, like, what happens if you pour it on a dead body? What happens to that? Does it get reanimated? Does it just not do anything?
That's also as part of my. Which brings me.
We'll train. We'll do stuff.
Which brings me actually to the next segment of Eric asking Steve a question.
Hey, I love this segment. Let's go.
My question to you being, how does magic in this world work mechanically? And by that I mean, or rather as an example, in D&D, which is, as we all know, my familiarity.
Right.
You have spells that like tell you exactly what they do, and you know how you can cast them. In this, we have the attune skill, and it's not vague, but it's general.
Yes.
Would that just be the skill that I use to cast any kind of spell I can think of, based on like, and then of course like, obviously I can't like summon down the moon or whatnot.
Right.
But like,
so the way that I have kind of used it in the past, and it's vague on purpose.
Yeah.
Blades in the Dark it's a game that is designed to be like hacked and changed around for like
right,
and
to be like customized per group.
And there are a lot of like really sick. This is like a random aside, and I'll answer your question in a sec. There are a lot of really sick Blades in the Dark hacks that are out there that exist that I would love to play someday. Like there's a like space opera like sci-fi hack of Blades in the Dark called Scum and Villainy, where you're like space pirates.
Cowboy Bebop.
It literally is. And then there's another really cool one that is either out or is coming out called Band of Blades. And it's like very Black
You
Company.
start a rock band?
No, it's like the Black Company, like a mercenary. You're like a mercenary group in like a like weird pseudo medieval high fantasy world. Nice. It's really sick. Like there's some cool shit. Anyways,
that I'd be interested in.
Yeah, I'll send you. Adam Kobold did like a first look at it. And and like kind of like spends an hour like reading through it and talking about it and stuff.
I'll take a look at that. Yeah.
It looks dope as hell. Oh man, I really want to play it. Anyways, yeah. So like to do like general magic shit, I kind of imagine it just being like kind of an attune roll. Like I think of it as like your cantrips, like thaumaturgy, that kind of stuff. Like you can like roll a tune, and then like depending on the roll, like you do it, but there's like a thing that happens or whatever. If you want to learn like spells, like if you want to learn like a way to do a thing, like that's what I consider rituals for.
Gotcha. Okay.
So like the ritual example that I always kind of go to is there's a ritual that you can learn as a whisperer that you can perform this ritual, and for X amount of time in an area around where you perform the ritual, if you kill someone, the bells don't chime.
Oh right, okay. So those are like direct spells. Okay, I've got you.
And that's
my ritual is going to be.
Well, that's the thing is even that is open ended because the way that you make rituals, there's a thing in the player's handbook or in the book for how to create rituals, and it's a conversation that you and I have where it's like you say I want a ritual that does X, Y, or Z, and I go okay, like I think that's possible, but in order to learn it and gather the stuff to do it, you'll need to do A, B, and C. And then there'll be a project to learn the ritual and a project to potentially gather whatever components you would need and all that. And then you can like perform this cool ritual to do to bring down the moon or whatever you want.
To bring down the moon, whatever I need to do.
I punch the moon.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how that works.
I got you.
Yeah.
That was my question.
Cool. Let's see. We've got.
How about one for you, Steve? What is your favorite part of the whole campaign so far?
Yeah.
Steve's like every time, Eric.
Well, like that's the thing. So I don't think I have. I've had, um, I've got like favorite moments. I don't think I have like a favorite moment, like, period. I've got like favorite stuff, like interactions and role playing kind of things that I've done, or like story beats that I've put together. Kind of like going forward. Like we talked before about Echo meeting Sawtooth for the first time. Like I really liked that scene. I really liked doing the Satara stuff with you, Eric, and then like Simone, like the whole like prison episode where it was like just you and
amazing.
Tez, and like going kind of like structuring that back and forth. That was like some really sick shit that involved,
that was some
like
pride and joy right there. Yeah.
that was like flexing a lot of like narrative muscles that I haven't gotten to flex like that in a while, and I'm like I was happy
here,
about
and then
that.
we're here, and then we're back here, and then we're back there.
Yeah. So like I've got moments like that, and I've got like story beats that I really liked. The I liked the hourglass stuff. I liked describing the hourglass stuff. I thought that was really fun and really cool. I had thought about not just what that thing did for a long time, but how I was going to reveal it to you guys. Like that sort of like cutscene that happens. I think about that kind of stuff a lot. And I'm excited to see where stuff goes, because like Leviathan Blood leads to some interesting shit. And I find that stuff really interesting, and I'm very curious to see where you guys go. But yeah, I mean, like overall, like obviously, like I love this shit. Like I could run Blades forever. I love the setting, and I love the system, and you know, I'm glad that we're playing it. Like I think that this is a really cool group, and I'm happy with all of my roping you guys into doing this silly thing with me.
Right.
So
yeah.
It is for sure silly, but it's awesome silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like you guys make it goofy, but like I don't say that in a bad way. I like that's another thing. I love the dynamic of I play the straight man to you guys goofing.
To the peanut gallery of the rest of us.
and like that's
I like how you took so much time, and you're really good about breaking down all the mechanics for us, because there are things that like we did, 3 or 4 sessions ago, and you're like, okay, so you're gonna do this, that, and the other thing, and I think the way that you taught us, it's so easy to pick up the next time, and then it's even easier the next time, and
I'm
like
excited.
What was it, the half an hour it took us for an encounter roll?
Right, yeah, exactly. But like that, and that's the thing. Like I love that shit, because what I love, a thing for me when I'm teaching anyone anything, but specifically like when I'm teaching people Blades, I love the moment when you guys use the mechanics in a way that I didn't necessarily teach you, which hasn't happened yet, but like I'm really excited to see where like as like playing this game mechanically y'all are in like 10 sessions, right? Because if you think about it, it's been like 11 or 10 or 11 sessions now, and like you guys are so much farther along than when we started, so I'm really excited to see like where all of you are mechanically when like you guys kind of like learn and have like a really good idea of like stress management and min-maxing and like when to accept devil's bargains,
trauma yourself.
Yeah, all of that stuff, because that's my jam. That's the stuff that I love doing in this game as a player. I think the VOD got deleted of the session where I got to be a player, but like that's like a fun kind of like getting to see like how I play this game. It's so different from the way that you guys play this game, because I played in 3 sessions during our last campaign where like my friend John or my friend Sam wanted to DM, so I jumped in as a player. In 3 sessions I got 3 traumas.
Nice.
Damn.
So like I love that shit, and I love seeing like where I mean, like, Eric, you probably get the same feeling in D&D when, like, you're teaching someone D&D and then they, like, do a strategy in a combat in a certain way, like, either as a group or as an individual, and, like, or use their spells in an interesting way that you, like, didn't necessarily perceive, and you're just like, yeah.
What I enjoy is when a new player finally figures out that their mechanical things can affect the environment, like that there are no necessary rules for that. Like there's literally no rules to things, and because of the way that games are set up, all games have rules. So like people inevitably look for where the boundaries are to things. My favorite thing is when a new player figures out that the boundaries are just wherever you put them, kind of.
Right.
Like a fireball spell doesn't say it can be used to bust open a door, but you can absolutely use it.
Yeah, but why wouldn't it?
Exactly. My favorite thing is when a new player looks down and goes, okay, well, I know the spell or this attack or this whatever doesn't say it does this, but like, could I do this to do it? And then I'm like, yes.
Or like,
Yeah.
for example, like pouring just regular water down a zombie's throat and then having the cleric purify it. Like, that's a thing that happens.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
Have you
gotta
guys-
think outside the box, and that's the neat thing about being in multiple types of campaigns is you learn from each setting.
Everyone, and like different GMs have different styles, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We've been going for like almost an hour. Does anyone have any closing thoughts?
Thank you.
I could talk about this shit
Thank you.
forever.
Thank you. Thank you, Spike. Thanks for everything.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
All of you guys.
Yeah.
And Melissa too, when she's watching this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, Marissa's not here because she's like getting married soon and shit. Like she's getting married on Saturday, so she's not gonna be here.
Whatever.
She's not here.
Like
She won't be here. I know, right?
Eric's getting married in a few months. You don't hear him complaining.
You will when I'm 6 days away.
No, I'm very much expecting that.
Yeah.
You will when I'm that close.
Yeah. So that's gonna do it for this little weird in between thing. Thank you guys for joining me, even though it was a bit shorter, and it was.
So I'm gonna ask
For a pleasure.
4 points of experience for struggling with issues from my vice or trauma for this episode. No.
Yeah, point that out to me. When did you?
I need at least 2 for bringing up my backstory 7 times.
Yeah, right.
I did go up against an encounter using stealth and/or violence.
Did you?
Because I left the room to get a drink and no one fucking saw me. So.
Hey, I mean,
Rewind the
to
tape.
be fair though, you did say like I'm gonna go get a drink.
Also announced.
Yeah, but did you see me get the
Yes.
drink?
I didn't.
Exactly.
I didn't.
You know what? I didn't. I saw you move on and off camera. If I hadn't noticed you move on and off the camera, then like
It would have been stealth.
I saw you, Ted.
Exactly. But yeah. So we'll play next week, I think.
Yeah.
And like
Yes.
we'll play we'll actually
actual
play the
game.
game instead of just talking about it for an hour. Although
Like this touch base.
yeah, I love doing this shit, and I think we should do this like once every 10, like somewhere the sweet spot's probably somewhere between like 5 and 10 sessions, which is a large margin of error, but it's like maybe on like an off week when like people like a couple of people can't make it or something, we could just do like little
Right.
mini sods, that kind of stuff.
I like that.
Cool. All right.
That was nice and refreshing.
It was. It was refreshing.
It's good. All right, we're gonna love you and leave you, internet. If you're watching,
Bye,
thanks
Internet.
for watching.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you. We'll be here. I'll be here for Dungeons and Dragons on Thursday, and Eric and I are gonna do a podcast someday.
Someday.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Somewhere out there.
Tune in to the podcast. Ask questions. They love it.
Yeah,
We
ask,
do. We'll
ask
answer them.
questions. We answer it. We've been going and just answering all the questions on the front page of D&D Reddit because we like answering questions.
That's our
Awesome.
second half of our thing. So the more
Yeah.
questions we get, the more we'll answer.
Hell yeah.
Great.
All right. We will say goodbye to the internet.
We bid you
We'll
adieu.
see you next time. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Internet.